Okay. So you know how Joe would often talk about how the characters would talk to him in his head?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
not
Did Bester
sure.
ever talk to you?
Did he ever talk to me?
Yeah, personally.
Of course.
What did he say?
Good morning.
Oh,
Sounds like a
that-
charming
Aw.
fellow.
yeah. But with such, there's going to be so much more to that.
Yeah, I didn't know Joe really well. He was a very tight friend with Harlan Ellison, and I had known Harlan, science fiction writer. I had known him since I appeared in an episode of the Alfred Hitchcock Hour that he wrote. I played opposite James Caan in that. He was the good guy. I was the bad guy. And Harlan wrote that, Memos from Purgatory. And so we became friends of a sort. He's a very mercurial guy and difficult to maintain. I'm talking about Harlan. Difficult to maintain a steady, even tone relationship with him. But that notwithstanding, I got to meet Joe through him. Joe asked me to. He took over a show called something at midnight, science fiction at midnight, or
Midnight Nation? Or no. I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
Welcome to the club. Yes, my wife and I to come in and dramatize a script he wrote for the I think the second edition of Twilight Zone back in the 80s. He was working as staff. And so it was a 2-character thing that didn't actually go on the air, but he wanted to hear it read. So we read it on the 12th hour. That was the name of the show, the 12th hour. And so I knew him from that. And then, that was it as far as I was concerned. Except that there was one little story. I'll try to get through it quickly. I said, look, I called him on the phone. I said, look, Joe, I'm thinking about writing a comic book. And I know you're working on it on Murder, She Wrote, but would you have time to collaborate with me? I'm surprised that I had the balls to ask her that. I mean, she's a working producer, for God's sakes. And I'm talking about a comic book? He says, well, come on in. So I came in and we had lunch together. And I told him, and he says, I really don't have the time. I said, well, okay. He says, but I got to tell you something. I've sold a series. It's called Babylon 5. Ooh. And there's a scene that I have in my mind. What do they call the area on the show where there's something Angula, something where everybody would go for lunch and dinner? It was
the Zocalo.
Yeah, that.
I had a feeling it might be the Zocalo.
That's what we call our show.
Perfect name.
So he says, I have this scene in mind where you're sitting with somebody and the camera flies over your head. It zooms past you. Not zooms, but moves past you. And as it moves past you, it hears you saying, well, on Star Trek, we did it this way. That's great. I'd love to do that. What fun that would be. But as you all know, that never happened. Instead, he found the part for me to play. And I was, and the initial tragedy was that I had just suffered a heart attack and I wasn't available. I was in the hospital recovering from a quadruple bypass. So I called Joe and said, as much as I would love to be on the set with you guys, I'm just not going to be available for several weeks. He says, well, that's okay. We'll try to hold it for you. I thought that was amazing. A producer would try to hold the show for you, a particular episode. Well, I got better, and he called me back, and he said, the problem is that we ran out of scripts, so we had to use that script, and we had to cast another actor. I said, well, okay, I get it. Thank you for trying. He says, but I'll find something else. And that usually is a sign-off, and you don't ever expect to hear from that person again, See you later. It's that kind of thing. Well, as some part of the science fiction world knows, he did find another part. And instead of being a one-episode situation, as it was initially explained to me, it became a 5-season recurring character. which I had such an enormously good time playing.
Mm.
It's one of the, it's one of the absolute delights of my career.
Heather Lee, on the subject of Babylon 5, asks, Walter, are you still in contact with your co-stars from Babylon 5?
Well, that's an interesting question. Unfortunately, the answer is a bit painful, because I think seven regulars on that series have passed away.
Nope.
That's really, I mean, old age took one or two, but the reasons for their passing, just from one end of the spectrum to the other, and some lovely, lovely people. It's just very sad. It's very sad.
Hmm.
The B5 cast has been very unlucky in that respect. When you think about it, the TNG cast, they're all here with us. That's amazing.
Everybody knock on wood right now.
70s.
That's the rule.
Yeah. Share them with your life. Sorry. I don't mean to curse
you're
it.
right, Char.
Panic. But then, B5, people dying in their 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, since about 2004. Sad.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of working with Stephen First. Melissa, you're on that set, as was Aaron Eisenberg, on a sci-fi comedy, and he left us much, much too soon as well. Like, it just, I can't imagine.
I think Stephen First had diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yep.
I believe he was only 59, I believe.
We did a convention together. It was really curious. And the plane was delayed, and finally we were told that we would have to go the next day. So the airline found a hotel for us, and there were about 5 of us, or at least Stephen, myself, George, and Nichelle. That's who it was. But they only had 2 rooms. So George and Nichelle took one room. Because George wasn't any, physical threat, and Stephen and I had the other room, and it had a bed, a queen size bed, no pun intended, and a couch. And Stephen said, "Well, I'm happy to take the couch." I said, "Stephen, this is a queen size bed. We could." No. You take the bed. I'll take the couch. Forget about it. Okay. So I had a big bed, and he had a couch that he was all crawled up inside.
Did you go and in the middle of the night go share the couch with him? Just to piss him off.
I mean, the guy who had his hand on my crotch would have been happy.
He's but a simple tailor.
Yeah.
One more question on Babylon 5, Walter. Glenn Iverson, and you may have already answered this, but Glenn Iverson asks, do you have any fun or otherwise fond memories of your time on Babylon 5 that maybe you haven't talked about in other interviews?
Yeah, but there's a reason why I haven't talked about them. It's because they're embarrassing to somebody, or they're off color, or there's something that that wouldn't sit well with everybody in the room. So that's how I approach it.